This is Author Talk, presented by Author House, the leading provider of services to help authors publish, promote, and sell their books around the world. Author Talk is a show about new books and the authors who wrote them. It's an opportunity for prospective readers to hear directly from the writers, to hear what inspired them to write and publish, and to hear all the inside details about their books. Here is Author Talk with host Steve Jorgensen.
Greetings for Steve Jorgensen and for Author Talk. This is J. Douglas Barker. The book title today is Because I Believed in Me. My Egyptian Fantasy Came True. And the author, Randi D. Ward. Randi joins me from Atlanta, Georgia today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on your show today.
Randi, thank you for joining me today and sharing your story about your visit to Egypt. Tell us the background of this story. How would you describe the contents of your book?
A memoir. It's an adventure story of an American teacher who got offered a job to teach at a language center in Egypt by a Facebook friend of all things. And I had gone there in May of 2011 after the first revolution. I actually went to this center, became interested in it, and as a retired teacher, I thought, this is a great opportunity to be able to teach young people in a different language, my love for English. So I thought about it for a few months and then went back in November of 2011 to spend 3 months at a language school called Spread Your English. Well, a week after I got there, the second revolution began, and I was 3 blocks from Tahrir Square, the center of the revolution. I actually, during my 3-month stay, heard people die a half a block from my house. I saw people get hurt. I heard gunfire and tear gas bombs. I know the difference between them now. But honest with you, I was never afraid because I would not allow myself to be afraid. I was there to teach, and I had a job, and I did it. And I learned with trial and error and with the help of many friends to become an Egyptian woman and survive quite well.
Some of the photos show you in costume, I would call it, or in garb of the people of Egypt. Is that a correct evaluation of the story?
Yes, they are called galabeas, and a couple of those were dancing girl dresses. I actually wear them to formal events here, and of course get a lot of attention because it's not the exact American style, but I love them. Yes, and as I said, I bought a lot of dresses there. They call them, as I said, galabeas, but I just really wanted to entrench myself into the Egyptian culture. In fact, there's even one picture in my book where I'm wearing a hijab, the headdress that the Muslim women wear.
Yes.
I'm a Christian, but in order to go to pray with one of my students, my female students, I had to wear a hijab. And I actually borrowed it from a shopkeeper on the way to the mosque because I didn't have a scarf, and wore it in that picture. And you wouldn't believe how many wonderful comments I get about that picture. They all think I'm Muslim for one thing, but they just say, you look amazing in that hijab. And the funny thing is, I should have bought the hijab, but I was trying to live off my income from the school, and I couldn't afford it that day, so I don't own that hijab. But it was a fun experience. I actually got to, the women and the men have to pray in separate parts of the mosque, so even though I didn't understand the Arabic, it was just such an emotional experience to be there and watch the ladies praying.
Randi, share your impressions of the kindness and the generosity of the Egyptian people.
Wow, they are the most amazing people I've ever met. I'm a world traveler. I have been in 49 countries, but Egypt became my second home, and I've worked so hard to try to help these people. I have a lot of friends there. I have over 2,000 friends, and I'm being accurate. I mean real friends. But when I was there, I was still making friends, and all I would have to do, because everything was in Arabic, was to either get on Facebook and say, hey, I need some help to go shopping, or hey, I need help going to the bank. Can someone tell me how to do this? I would get 5 phone calls or 10 people on Facebook saying, I'll be there in an hour to help you. Their generosity was amazing. If I was trying to get a taxi cab and I couldn't get one, somebody would always come up and say in English, do you need help? When I was riding the metro, which I learned to do eventually because taxi cab drivers were very rude to me, I would have men and women both helping me. You need to know which stop to get off. They helped me learn how to live in the Egyptian culture in a country where I did not understand Arabic at all. And it was an amazing experience, so I embraced them. They are so kind, so generous, and I feel so sorry about what's going on in their country now because I'm in contact with so many Egyptians every single day, and I hear the inside story of what's really going on there. And it's very sad.
How would you
3 years they've been trying to get their democracy. I think the country is in worse shape than it was under Mubarak, which is really devastating to me and to them as well.
Ostensibly, you are what would be considered a world traveler, Randi. Randi, by anybody's standards, you are considered a world traveler and have visited a lot of cultures. How do they compare with your immersion into the Egyptian culture?
Well, I mean, I was in China 3 years after it was open to tourism. I've been all over Asia and almost every European country. I've been in South Africa, Kenya, Swaziland, Morocco. I've been in many, many places. I don't know why these people captured my heart, but from a young child I was always fascinated with the antiquities of Egypt. It was always my dream to go there. My first trip was in 1996, just a 10-day tour with my husband, and I never forgot that trip. So when I retired from teaching in 2008 and joined Facebook in 2009, I joined this group of Egyptian archaeologists, and this is how I started becoming interacted with these Egyptians. And then I started meeting students and people of all walks of life there, from the very young to the very old, and I just embraced them. I think, even though the majority are Muslims, I do have some Coptic Christian friends, their sense of humor and their personality is so close to American that I think we connect so well that way. They have, I don't know, I understand them and they understand me. It's just a very strange relationship, even though our cultures are so different.
You use the word, because I believed in me. What is the significance of the word believed in your title?
Well, I am a big dreamer, okay? In fact, I even have a copyrighted quote in this book that says, believe, which is my favorite word, don't dream big, dream bigger, the sky is the limit, so reach for the stars. I've always taught my students, whether they're Americans or Egyptians, to believe in themselves, because if you don't believe in yourself, who will? And I'm also a huge dreamer. I mean, I have done, I'm not rich, I'm not just, a teacher, but I've done so many amazing things in my life because I believed I could do them, and I would always find a way to do them. How many people, unless you're wealthy, get to travel to 49 countries? But I have done that. Amazing. Because I would save my money and plan carefully, and I got to see the world. How many people get to go to a foreign country to teach? Not many, But because I believed in myself, I made a plan, and I found a way to be able to do that. The interesting part about my title is, it's long, I know, because I believed in me, my Egyptian fantasy came true. But I actually had a Facebook contest because I could not think of this perfect name for my book. And 2 Egyptians won the contest. 100 people entered names, and so these 2 titles just seemed perfect. I wanted it to be about me, but I also wanted it to be about Egypt, so I had to put both of them together. And that's how the title came. So I dedicated the book to these 2 young people.
Fabulous. The book should have some appeal, but is it going to be an appealing book for people who love to travel, or is it going to be those who are culturally interested? How would you describe your reader?
Well, I think travel would be partially it, but it's also a book about people. It's not just, I know it has my name in it, but the pictures are about my friends. It's about how I learned to survive in another culture, but it's a book about culture. I didn't go into great depth because I only spent 3 months there. But it's a book that if I were sitting beside you, I would be telling you the stories. I wrote it before I wrote one word of this. I thought, okay, as an English teacher, how do you want to write this? Do you want it to be philosophical, or do you want it to be something everybody can read? So I decided, because I wanted it to be translated in Arabic someday and other foreign languages, I would write it in simple terms so that it would be easy to translate, and so that everybody, whether you're a non-native English speaker or not, but had some English skills, would be able to read it. And then you don't know how hard I fought to get those 153 pictures in there, because my publisher kept saying, this is too many. I said, no, they have to be in there. In fact, 45 of them should not be in there. The resolution was too low. They were pictures sent from my friends because I did not have pictures of them. And they said, well, you have to have 300 DPI, and those are only like 72, 96.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Right.
I told a 16-year-old Egyptian genius friend of mine online, I want these pictures in, but they say I can't. My son, who is the art director for Reader's Digest in Germany, said, Mom, I can't fix them. The 16-year-old Googled, how do you raise the resolution of pictures? He fixed them in 45 minutes. They are in my book.
That's amazing.
So you know I rub this into my publisher a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And you cannot tell the difference. I say, do you know which pictures are not supposed to be in there? No, Randy, we don't. I said, see, believe. Anything is possible if you work hard enough, and believe you can do it.
Is that the underlying theme you want readers to take away? Is there going to be a surprise when they read your book and say, wow, I didn't know that? Is that what you want people to take away from the read?
Well, yes, there are going to be some cultural things in it that if you're not familiar with Egyptian Arabic culture or Islam, I even have a chapter on Islam. Yes, they're going to go back. They're going to go away with that. I did not know that. But I do have underlying messages. I want you to believe in yourself. I also want people, and no offense, not to always believe everything they hear in the press, you know, because you need to interact with the people before you judge another culture as being wrong or, you know, not the way to live. You need to go and live among these people, and then you will see, hey, it's different from your life, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. And I even did a video on International Friends, and I had all my friends send me pictures. And I'm trying to embrace and also to motivate people to reach out to other people from other cultures and not be afraid to do that. I think we're all afraid that they're going to hurt us. And like I said, I have friends in 76 countries. It's an amazing experience, you know?
Absolutely.
And this is what I want. I want people to love other people. If we had more love in this world, we'd have fewer conflicts than we do now, which just upsets me so much, as you know, what's going on in the world these days.
I understand.
So.
There are some scenes in here, I'm sure, that you experienced and shared with the reader that you think are pretty exciting. Can you maybe explain to our listeners a couple of those things that might entice them to buy the book?
All right, well, the night in December 2011 when I did listen to 12 people die and 120 people get injured, exactly 1/2 block from my house, was one of the most horrible nights of my life. I did cry all night long, but not out of fear. I felt that I was safe, but I knew that people were dying. I could hear their screams. So that was a terrible night. It was the most terrible night in Egypt. But one of the most exciting days in Egypt was on January 25th, 2012, when I taught for 6 hours, looked out the window of my 14th floor school, and saw these 2 huge flags, which are pictured in my book, okay, for the celebration of their first Independence Day, which now maybe seems not so valid. But after I taught for 6 hours with my students, then I went to Tahrir Square and celebrated in my makeshift hijab so I would not look so American, and celebrated with 2 million people. It was awesome. The spirit was amazing. The people were friendly. They knew I was an American because as soon as I stepped out of the metro, I thought I would look so Egyptian. I was so proud of myself. Some young man says, "Oh, hi, American." And I said, "How did you know?" And he goes, "Your blue eyes." But they still accepted me, and I still had an amazing time. I stayed for about maybe 45 minutes and then left because, you know, I was tired, but I got to celebrate with the Egyptians.
Amazing.
Wonderful day. I rode on a camel for an hour and a half with my students behind the Giza pyramids. That's the reason for the picture on the cover. I didn't do it in heels and a dress, but I did have that experience. I went to art galleries with my artist friends and met new artists and bought their art. There's so many experiences that I can't even, well, I mean, I could have written more chapters, but I chose to stop at the 28 that's in the book.
Could you introduce this book to my listeners in just a sentence or two?
Well, it's an adventure story of an American teacher who travels to fulfill a dream of helping young Egyptians and had a life-changing experience. She went to teach them, but they taught her so much.
Beautifully done. What makes this book different from others in the marketplace, besides all of the phenomenal photos that you've included?
Well, I just think it's because I went there with no expectations, you know, at all. Just I thought I could change lives. And it ended up that my life was changed. And I think we need to do that. We need to be open-minded when we go places and just see what happens, you know, embrace whatever is around you. And this is the reason my book is different. It tells about a woman who learned to accept a new side of herself, you know? I mean, I really am not the same person. In fact, now I am into so many things because of this book. I am an African humanitarian environmentalist. I am the honorary president and coordinator of World Peace Force Africa in Egypt. It's a farm that's going to grow this miracle tree called the moringa and reforest Africa. I now, because of the connection with my African friends in Egypt, have an African friend in Kenya, and I am the USA Regional Director for an organization called Africa Nomads Conservation, which is going to help the nomads preserve the life of wild animals, work on improving education and water quality there, and I'm actively involved in both of these. I now am the owner of 2 schools in Egypt. One is an adult language school called Rise Up. The other one is a nursery called 6 October Nursery, which will soon be changed to a different name because we are now teaching English business courses to major corporations in Egypt now.
Phenomenal.
I am now a member of Worldwide Who's Who because of my work now, and a member of the National Association of Professional Women. All of this is because of this one book. This book opened up my life to so many other opportunities. And I would say my dream is to be a radio personality like you.
No, not like me.
Have be a paid public motivational speaker one day. This is my next dream.
Well, that's a mouthful.
As I said, don't dream big, dream bigger.
And was there challenges to writing this particular book in getting it published? It wasn't a challenging time you were visiting Egypt.
Well, it took me 3 months to write the book because I came home and did it immediately. So that was not the challenge. The challenge was getting a title, which I saw with the contest. The main challenge, I think, was getting those pictures correct, to get them so that they would be able to be published in the book. That was the biggest challenge. And then everything was pretty easy. Now I want somebody to pay me, though, because I self-edited, self-published. So and I edited my own book, by the way, but I want somebody. I have 4 books ready, 2 short stories, 1 for adult, 1 for children, nursery rhymes that I made for my Egyptian children, 2 books of poetry, and now I'm starting on a self-help book about how to achieve your dreams. I'm also a blogger. I have 70 blogs on my 2 websites. My publisher website is randidward.com. That's RandiWard.com. And then I have an Egyptian friend who just created this amazing new site for me. It's called http://world_gate.net/Randi, Randi. So I'm active on all of those too. Plus I have 2 book websites or Facebook sites, my personal site. Let's put it this way. I am in charge of 8 Facebook sites besides everything else. So I never stop.
Amazing.
I write constantly. I work constantly. I'm trying to help people. I even tutor free online to international students.
Incredible.
This is my passion, to help people around the world.
This particular book is titled Because I Believed in Me, My Egyptian Fantasy Came True. And the author, Randi, with an I, D. Ward. Randi, thank you for joining me today. Is there a specific place we can get your book, or should we just look for you online?
Well, they're not in stores, of course, because I'm not a famous author like some people, but if you can get it on Amazon.com or authorhouse.com. It's on many websites, amillionbooks.com. Just Google my name, and you will see me everywhere there. I am making waves, and I hope to continue to get my message out and help people.
Thank you for being hyperkinetic and for joining me today.
Thank you, Jay. It was a pleasure.
Randi,
bye-bye.
Again, our guest, Randi D. Ward, and for Author Talk, this is J. Douglas Barker.